Howdy folks, Greyhawk4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. And what do you say we do a gaming vlog? Let's do this one about Pathfinder. Let's talk about D&D 3.5. And let's talk about my first edition campaign that we just started last Friday. Without further ado, let's go. Okay, this is going to be a long video probably. We've got a lot of stuff to cover, so let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about, I want to start off with Pathfinder. So, in our Pathfinder campaign, we are, as a short recap, we are searching for these stones that we are really unsure about what their magical properties are, but in this homebrewed game world, the magic is dying, and we believe that these stones that we're searching for they hold the secret to what's causing magic to die. So we've been searching for these things, and we were currently in a town that had an active excavation going on to a tomb that we believed probably had one of these stones in it. And then we find out that strange things were happening since the excavation started and so forth. So we dove in there. There was a lot of different puzzle challenges that these two competing demigods were putting us through. Made it through all that. Did not find a stone. However, there was a statue in this town of a female, predominant female, who apparently is like the savior of this town. Even though she's not like the mayor or anything else like that, but she's apparently like the person that they all look up to in this town. So, in this last episode, we decided to go and visit her. So we go visit her because we believe she probably has the stone, because we found evidence in the little dungeon there that kind of pointed to a female taking it. And so we put two and two together and believe that she's the one who has it. So we go and see her, and basically she admits that she has it. She will not give it to us because she's using it for good. She's using it to help the poor and the unfortunate in the town, and overall the well-being of the town. So she's not nasty about it or anything else like that, but she just won't give it to us. And we, for whatever reason, are easily persuaded that we won't take it. And just about that time, there's an explosion at the front of the building, which of course startles all of us. And we find out that one of our old party members, one of the players decided that character, he didn't really want to play that character anymore. He wanted to roll a new character. So he figured out a way to, basically, because he was a fire-based, I forget the race that he played, but it was a fire-based race. So kind of like a half fire elemental race type of a thing. And he basically turned himself into a nuke on this island and blew himself up in the process of defeating a bunch of these enemies. He figured he'll take a bunch of them out with him and he'll just nuke himself and kill himself that way and then roll a new character, which he did. Well, now our brilliant DM has brought him back as an NPC, now as a villain, which was made pretty clear right there when he blew the place up getting in. And so all the characters exited out through the window because they didn't really want to face him because he's pretty powerful, it appears now. Except for me, I play a rogue, and I decided to hide in shadows and wait and listen to the conversation between this new badass NPC and the female. And she was able to convince them to just go away, which was kind of odd. So they leave, and then I went and confronted her And I basically got it out of her that this stone, she does have it, and we already knew that, but she has it, and it gives her the power of persuasion. Ta-da, there you go. That's why she was able to get them to go away so easily. And why she was able to convince us easily for us to go away. But of course, she still won't give the stone. And she is indeed using it for good. So we're trying to figure out what we're going to do about all that. And then, so we find out we better leave town, because this dude, Jarrell, is the old player character's character that is now an NPC, is after us. So we get on a ship and decide we're going to go to another town where the next stone might be. And along the way, we get attacked. The ship gets attacked by these wood mermaid type things that start crawling up the sides of the ship and attacking us, and some other creatures that are coming up and attacking us. And we see in the distance, we see on like a small coral island type thing, we see a big sea creature, which we kind of figure out he's what's commanding these other things to attack us. And we defeat them, luckily, and make it to another town, to the town that we're headed to, which happens to be one of the player characters, his hometown. And we're trying to convince them to join with us to go back and defeat this, whatever the sea creature is that's commanding these things, because we feel that they're a threat to everything. And that's where we left off. So that was Pathfinder. So pretty epic right there. And so then in our D&D 3.5 campaign, we ended it up. We ended it. Kind of wrapped it up. And but we left it open in case we want to go back and revisit and start where we left off and start back up again, because there's more to do there if we want to. But basically, where we left off in the last vlog was we had finally finished the Dwarven fortress, broke the curse, freed the king. We're duly rewarded for all of our actions and so forth. And then we decided to head off, because we still had this unknown mystery of this ring we found that talked about the Four Winds Bar. And so we started searching for the Four Winds Bar. And through a lot of different channels and things, we finally found out where to go. We start heading that way, and we're crossing this desert, and it's so hot and everything, we're starting to blister. And we're starting to die of thirst and everything else. And then there's this giant, it's called a rune giant, that we had to defeat. We managed to somehow defeat that, and we're on death's door, really, because we're blistering and everything else, and we make it to the Four Winds Bar. And it's a very unique place, and we figure out that, number one, we can buy items that, number one, will keep us from having that sickness and everything, and the blisters and all that stuff if we want to come back, and also an item that allows us to teleport back to the Four Winds Bar. So we find, and those are very expensive, but we spend the gold to get them. And at the very end, we ascertain that the reason that you'd want to go to this Four Winds Bar is it appears that there's portals there that allow for planar travel to different planes and things. That's what we believe, and that's where we ended it. We all decided what we were going to do in our quote retirement, even if it's a short-lived retirement, and we ended it right there at the Four Winds Bar, which leads us into the first edition campaign that I started last Friday. So over the Thanksgiving weekend, it was a 4-day weekend, I spent a lot of time just preparing for this first edition campaign. And we started it last Friday, and kind of like, so what Kevin did, which is the DM for Pathfinder, where he kind of did what we like to call a callback. Comedians use that term when they take something that they've already previously talked about and they bring it back into a new bit or a new joke or whatever. They call it a callback. I had already planned to do the same thing in my first edition campaign. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you the example of what I'm talking about. So take a look at this picture here. Now, the story behind that is I randomly saw that on my Facebook feed at some point, and I saw that and I thought, man, what a cool looking, if that was a real creature in a D&D campaign, what would that be, number one? And number two, as a joke, I posted it to we have our own group on Facebook for our gaming group, and I posted it there just with the little caption. I just put, roll for initiative, just as a joke. And then everybody in the group started putting die rolls in, like they were rolling their dice and they were putting what they got for their initiative roll, like as if they really wanted to play it out. So we did. And as a matter of fact, we played out that encounter. I did it. It was all improv. I was on a break at work when I started that. And so started at work during my break, did a little bit of the improv stuff on, we're doing this all through Facebook. And then we continued it when I got home, and this is I printed out the transcript of it, and it's actually 15 pages, is what for that encounter, and so I kind of was ad-libbing it the whole way, and halfway through I decided that these characters that they were using their characters that we had in the current campaign, which at that time was the 3.5 campaign. So they were using those to basically fight this thing. And I had to come up with stats for it and the whole bit. And so what I did was, I got the idea from looking at that picture of a Trent. Some people say Treant. I don't know which way is correct, but I've always said Trent. Which is a tree creature. And I thought, the first thing that when I saw it that jumped out to me was it looks diseased. So I came up with this idea for the character, or for the creature, and I call it a consumed Trent, or Treant, or whatever. And by the way, that's the first mention of the consumed Trent, on this channel on this date, December 5th, 2016. That's my design. So if anybody steals it from this point forward, we can look back at this video and say he was the first one to ever use that term. Thank you very much. And what the consumed Trent is it's basically a Trent that was infected with rot grub. If you know anything about rot grub from the D&D world, from the very first monster manual, it is little grubs that burrow into your skin, and they try to reach your heart or your brain or whatever, and they're pretty nasty. And so I basically came up with the idea that this Trent, whatever, fought or captured an adventurer who had just recently got infected with rot grub, and the Trent killed this adventurer or whatever, and somehow the flesh from that adventurer, along with the rot grub, stuck to the base of the tree of the Trent, and it infected the tree and infected it with rot grub, and they kept multiplying and growing, and so they had a bunch of it in there, and then basically dry rot set into the Trent, so it became basically this diseased living tree full of rot grub and fungus and everything. And I gave it a couple of special abilities off the top of my head. I had one called and this again is trademark, copyright, whatever. I call it a torturous bellow, and it is a loud roar. And it basically it can do this one time per encounter, and it's this thunderous, loud, deafening roar that it gives off because the rot grub and the disease have driven this creature mad. So it's not only diseased and everything else, but it is mad from pain and torture and disease and everything else, and it gives off this torturous bellow out of madness and anger and pain and everything towards whoever it's fighting, and it basically spews out rot grub when it does this bellow. They have to save or they're deafened, and then of course they have to save or that rot grub get on and attaches to them, and they start getting that. So you have that, and then also the creature, the consumed Trent, can cast entangle, and the surrounding roots and everything try to entangle the players. So those were a couple of the special attacks that I gave to this consumed Trent. And they continued through all this to battle it and everything. One person got rot grubs and failed their saving throw, and they started to burrow, but they were smart enough to use fire on them and burn them off and everything, and they end up defeating this creature. And when they searched it, they found the remains of some adventurers that had, probably the one that had the rot grub, and they don't find much left other than some coins and a dagger. And I thought, because I just happened to have this, it's actually a letter opener, but it looks kind of medieval, and I had this handy. I thought, this will be the dagger that they find. And then I decided that I will use this as a callback, so that when I start my first edition campaign, we will somehow reference back to this. And now that I have started my first edition campaign, that's exactly what I did. I basically said that there is some people that this belongs to, and it's not just a dagger. I even mentioned it in this transcript that it's not particularly sharp. It probably wouldn't be that great of an effective weapon. But the one who got it was happened to be a rogue and could tell there was something not right about it and had some suspicions about it. And now that we're in the first edition campaign, I basically tied it all together. I don't want to give too much away because my players are still going through it. So there is a connection to this with my new campaign. And I can say that to start this off, they're all 0 level. They started at 0 level. They were all townfolk that had regular jobs and had not really thought about adventuring. But they all get kidnapped and they end up on a ship. And that's how the campaign starts. They wake up on this ship. They're horribly sick. They're shackled. They've been vomiting all over themselves. Everybody's been vomiting all over everybody. Their heads are throbbing. They feel worse than they've ever felt before in their lives, and they don't know what's happening to them and everything. And that's how it starts. And then they're going to find out that it has something to do with the callback to this original encounter on Facebook. And that's how I'm going to tie it all together. So as this progresses, I will obviously fill you guys in via these vlogs to let you know how this all goes. And that's it. We are going to, this Friday, we're going to be playtesting a product that I can't yet talk about. But nevertheless, as soon as I can, I will fill you guys in on it. It's going to be quite an exciting product, and I can't wait to tell you guys about it. Hopefully very soon I can fill you guys in on it. And on the video game side of it for this vlog, I've been playing a little bit of Skyrim, just when I need to clear my head and get out of, all this stuff that I'm doing and just kind of get lost in the game. I've been playing a little bit of Skyrim here and there. So that's it. I mean, that's on the gaming front. That's everything that's going on. So the Pathfinder is still going. 3.5 is on pause, so we kicked off the first edition, which is a throwback back to this original Facebook thing, and we're playtesting a new product, and that's it. So feel free to tell me what you guys are doing on your fronts. I'd like to know what everybody's doing and what games you're playing, and if you're doing 5th edition or whatever it is. And I think that'll do it, guys. We'll catch you on the flip side.